The observation deck aboard the Galactic Hegemony vessel Eternal Vigilance hummed with quiet activity as Captain Tak leaned forward, studying the holographic display of a small blue planet. "Unremarkable," he said, mandibles clicking softly. "Another developing world for the registry." His science officer, Nari, adjusted her breathing apparatus and gestured to the data stream. "Not entirely unremarkable, Captain. Their technological progression is concerning." "Concerning how?" Tak asked, 6 eyes narrowing. 2 centuries ago, they were transmitting primitive radio signals. Now they have rudimentary interstellar capability. The acceleration curve is unprecedented. Tak dismissed her concern with a flick of his forearm. "Send the standard diplomatic package. Follow first contact protocols." What the hegemony didn't understand was that humanity's expansion into space had been driven by millennia of conflict. While the aliens had evolved through cooperation, humans had forged their technology in the crucible of war. The first meeting between species went smoothly enough. Formal exchanges, cautious smiles, careful translations. The human delegation, led by Admiral Han, met with Tak and his officers in a specially prepared chamber designed to accommodate both species' environmental needs. "We welcome you to the galactic community," Tak said through the translation device. "The hegemony has guided many species into the stars." Admiral Han nodded politely. "Earth appreciates your welcome. We look forward to peaceful exchange of knowledge." Tak noticed how the humans studied everything. Their eyes moved constantly, taking in details, assessing. It was subtle but unmistakable. They were evaluating threats and advantages, a behavior pattern the hegemony xenopsychologists would later identify as military thinking. Days later, a routine patrol near Jupiter encountered a small human scout ship. The hegemony vessel initiated standard scanning procedures, bathing the human craft in sensor beams to catalog its capabilities. Inside the scout ship, Lieutenant Kang gripped his controls tighter as alarms flashed across his console. "Unknown energy signature targeting our ship," he reported to his captain. "Pattern matches weapons targeting systems based on our threat database." Captain Yuna made her decision quickly. Evasive action. Protocol Sigma 9. The small human vessel suddenly dropped its communications array, cut power to non-essential systems, and executed a series of tight maneuvers that no hegemony pilot had ever seen. Rapid changes in direction that should have crushed any biological crew with G-forces. On the hegemony ship, Commander Jun watched in disbelief as their tracking systems struggled to maintain lock. "Impossible," he muttered. "Their engines shouldn't be capable of that. And their crew should be dead from such maneuvers." What he didn't know was that the human ship contained inertial dampeners, technology the hegemony wouldn't develop for another century, and that Lieutenant Kang had trained in extreme evasive maneuvers for years. The scout ship vanished behind one of Jupiter's moons, using the magnetic field to mask its signature before jumping to faster-than-light travel. Back on the Eternal Vigilance Tak reviewed the footage with growing concern. "They responded to our standard scan as if it were a weapons lock," he noted. "Why would they assume hostile intent?" Neri studied her datapad. Their historical records show constant warfare throughout their development. They may naturally assume threat where none exists. Or perhaps, offered Security Chief Min, speaking for the first time, they have experience with beings who scan before they attack. The implications hung in the air. A species that expected attack rather than cooperation was rare in the hegemony's experience. Tak shook his head. "A fluke. They remained centuries behind us." That night, as the Eternal Vigilance continued its orbit around Jupiter, Nari couldn't sleep. She accessed the human historical records they had been provided during the diplomatic exchange and began reading. Hours later, her scales had paled to an ashen gray. Wars, endless wars, global conflicts, weapons of mass destruction, civilizations risen and fallen through combat, technology advancing in great leaps during periods of conflict, and most disturbing of all, Humans had never unified except when facing a common enemy. She sent a priority message to the Hegemony Council. Species Assessment Update. Humans have evolved through conflict rather than cooperation. Recommend extreme caution in all future interactions. The Council's response was brief. Noted. Continue observation. These primitives pose no threat to the hegemony. Neri looked out her viewport at the distant blue planet. She wasn't so sure. In the Grand Assembly Chamber of the Hegemony Council, Diplomat Bora stood before the gathered representatives of 50 alien species. The curved walls rose high above, decorated with symbols of unity and peace, ideals the hegemony had maintained for 10,000 years across the galaxy. They are adaptable and quick to learn, Bora insisted, her voice echoing in the vast space. We should engage them as potential allies, not subjects. Bora's scales shimmered with a soft blue light, a sign of sincere belief among her kind. She gestured to the data displays showing humanity's rapid advancement. In just 8 months of contact, they've already adopted elements of our translation technology and improved upon it. Their scientists ask questions that reveal deep understanding. Admiral Ryu rose from his seat, his massive frame casting a shadow across the chamber floor. His scales darkened to a deep purple, a clear sign of irritation. Their military capability is growing too quickly, he countered. The history archives show they've spent most of their existence fighting among themselves. What happens when they turn that aggression outward? Murmurs spread through the chamber as council members considered his words. They build in secret, Ryu continued. Our observation posts have detected unusual activity in their outer system. What are they hiding from us? Elder Su, the oldest member of the council, raised a gnarled hand for attention. What do you propose, Admiral? Ryu's eyes narrowed. A clear demonstration of our power, something to remind them of their place in the galactic order. Bora stepped forward again. That approach could backfire terribly. If they truly are a warrior species. Enough, Elder Su interrupted. We will vote. The vote was close, but fear won over diplomacy. 3 days later, a small strike force of unmarked hegemony vessels approached the human colony on Ta City. The ships had been carefully modified to appear as vessels of the Vorten Confederacy, longtime rivals of the hegemony. The attack was precise and brutal. Orbital defense stations destroyed. Communication arrays disabled. Ground targets bombed with shocking accuracy. 2,000 human colonists dead in less than an hour. The strike force departed, certain they had sent a clear message: stay in your place. 1 week later, in the secure command center beneath the hegemony capital, Intelligence Officer Day stared at his monitors with growing alarm. His normally composed features betrayed his concern as he summoned Admiral Ryu. The humans are mobilizing, Day reported when the Admiral arrived. Not just their known fleet. They've revealed a vessel class we were completely unaware of. He activated the main hologram. It showed a massive ship emerging from behind Jupiter's moon. Sleek, dark, bristling with weapon systems unlike anything in the hegemony database. Hess Vengeance, Day read from the intelligence brief. A deep space battleship they've kept hidden from our observation posts. The ship dwarfed the known human vessels. Its hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Weapon ports lined its flanks, some recognizable, others completely alien in design. Admiral Ryu studied the image, his expression hardening. One ship doesn't change the equation. The hegemony has dominated space for 10,000 years. There's more, Day continued, his voice growing quieter. They're demanding direct communication with the Council and reparations for the colony attack. They dare to make demands. Ryu's voice rose as his scales darkened to nearly black. We outnumber them 100 to 1. They know it was us, Day said. Somehow, they identified our ships despite the Vorten disguise. Impossible. Day tapped his console, bringing up another image. It showed a tiny human probe, barely larger than a food container, attached to one of the attacking ships. They had these deployed throughout their colony system. Passive sensors our scans didn't detect. Admiral Ryu slammed his fist on the console. It changes nothing. If they want war. The communication alert cut him off. On the main screen appeared a human woman in a dark uniform adorned with gold insignia. Her expression was calm but unyielding. This is Admiral Sun of Earth Combined Fleet. We know the hegemony attacked our colony while disguised as Vortons. We have proof. We demand to speak with your council immediately. Ryu moved to respond, but Day held up a hand. There's more coming through. The view shifted to show a fleet of human ships. 30 vessels of various sizes, all surrounding the massive Vengeance. They moved with precision, their formation clearly practiced and purposeful. Your attack killed 2,000 civilians. Admiral Sun continued. We will have justice, or we will take it. You have 48 hours to respond. The transmission ended. Ryu stared at the blank screen, his breathing heavy. Prepare the defense fleet, he ordered. We'll show them what real power looks like. In her private chambers, Diplomat Bora received the news with dread. She had warned them. She had tried to make them understand. Now war was coming, and she feared the hegemony had no idea what they had awakened. Commander Minji of the hegemony battlecruiser Swift Justice stood tall on her command bridge. The view screen showed her impressive fleet. 12 warships, each a marvel of alien engineering, their hulls gleaming under the light of Proxima Centauri. Intelligence reports indicated only 4 human vessels defending the colony. This will be a simple demonstration, she told her bridge crew, her confidence evident in her posture. They'll surrender once they see our numbers. The crew nodded in agreement. The hegemony had never lost a fleet action in living memory. Their technology was superior, their tactics refined over thousands of years of theoretical war games. Human vessels detected, announced Tactical Officer Jai. 3 smaller ships, and the Vengeance. A hush fell over the bridge at the mention of the infamous human battleship. Even at this distance, the sensors showed its imposing silhouette, darker and more angular than hegemony designs, somehow threatening in its very shape. Open communication channels, ordered Minji, smoothing her uniform. Offer them terms. The main screen flickered to life. The face that appeared belonged to Commander Sung of the HSS Vengeance. She was younger than Minji expected, with calm eyes that showed no fear despite the overwhelming odds against her. This is sovereign human territory, Sung stated without preamble. The hegemony attacked our people unprovoked. We will defend ourselves. Minji leaned forward. You face 12 warships with your 4. Surrender now, and we will spare your colony further damage. We decline your offer, Sung replied simply, and the screen went dark. They choose destruction, Minji said, turning to her crew. Advance in standard attack formation. Target their lead vessels first. The hegemony fleet moved forward in perfect synchronization, their formation a textbook display of tactical positioning. The human ships, in contrast, seemed to scatter in different directions. They flee already, questioned Officer Jai. No, said Navigator Jai, studying his displays with growing concern. I'm not sure what they're doing. What followed stunned the hegemony fleet. The human vessels moved in patterns that seemed random but were precisely coordinated. When hegemony ships fired their energy weapons, human shields flared, not with the standard defensive response, but with adaptive harmonics that seemed to analyze and counter each specific weapon frequency. How are they doing that? Demanded Minji as her first volley proved ineffective. Then the humans returned fire. Instead of energy beams, they launched physical projectiles, primitive by hegemony standards. But somehow these passed directly through the hegemony's defensive fields. Impossible, shouted Minji as one of her light cruisers reported critical hull damage. Their kinetic weapons shouldn't penetrate our shields. They've modulated the projectiles to pass through our shield frequency, reported Jai, her voice rising in alarm. But how did they know our frequencies? The battle quickly descended into chaos, at least from the hegemony perspective. The human ships darted between hegemony vessels, forcing them to hold fire to avoid hitting their own ships. When the hegemony adapted, the humans changed tactics again, using the gravity well of a nearby moon to slingshot their smaller vessels at impossible speeds. The *Righteous Dawn* is disabled, reported Communications Officer Park. The *Eternal Guardian* has lost engines and weapons. Minji watched in disbelief as her carefully planned battle fell apart. The Vengeance moved like no ship of its size should, its massive guns tearing through hegemony armor, while its point defense systems somehow anticipated and intercepted every counterattack. They're using tactics we've never seen. Minji's voice cracked as another of her ships reported critical damage. 7 hours later, 8 hegemony vessels were disabled or destroyed. The remainder, including the damaged Swift Justice retreated from the system, carrying with them footage of warfare unlike anything in their records. Minji herself was injured when a support beam collapsed during a direct hit to her bridge. She awoke in a clean, white room, clearly a medical facility, but not on any hegemony vessel. "You're aboard the HS Mercy," said a human doctor. "Your ship ejected escape pods before retreating. We retrieved them." Later, in a quiet debriefing room, Minji's second-in-command, Officer Juan, sat across from a human military intelligence officer named Captain Gill. The human was respectful but direct in his questioning. "How did you defeat our shields?" Juan asked, his professional curiosity overcoming his sense of defeat. "Adaptive frequencies," Gill replied simply. "We've been developing countermeasures since we first scanned your technology." Juan shook his head. "But the formations you used, the coordination between your ships, they seemed chaotic, but were perfectly executed. We call it controlled chaos," Gill said. "It's been a standard tactic in naval warfare since our Second World War." "You've been fighting wars for how long?" Juan asked, dreading the answer. "Continuously for about 5,000 years of recorded history," the human replied with a slight shrug. "Probably longer." Juan's color paled visibly. "The hegemony has had 3 wars in 10,000 years. We thought we understood conflict." Gill looked at him with something like pity. No one understands conflict like those who have never known peace. The Hegemony Council chamber erupted in chaos as the battle footage played on the massive screens. The perfect formation of 12 hegemony warships breaking apart. The human vessels moving in patterns that defied prediction. The mighty Swift Justice limping away, its hull breached in 17 places. "How did they defeat our best tactical systems?" demanded Counselor Jin, his voice rising above the noise. His ceremonial robes shimmered with agitation as he pointed at the screens. "Their technology should be inferior." Elder Su called for order, striking his staff against the floor 3 times. The chamber gradually quieted. "We have a report from our research division," Elder Su announced. Xenohistorian Un will present her findings. Xenohistorian Un stepped forward. She was young for her position, her scales still bright with youth, but her eyes held the wisdom of one who had studied many civilizations. Her team had worked without rest since the battle, analyzing everything known about human history. "We fundamentally misunderstood humans," she explained, her voice calm but urgent. "While we developed technology through peaceful cooperation, every major human technological advance came from warfare." She activated her data pad, and new images appeared on the screens. Human history, displayed in a timeline. Ancient warriors with spears. Medieval knights in armor. World wars with machines of destruction. Nuclear weapons. Space stations with hidden military purposes. Their computing systems, their propulsion technology, their material science, all developed to gain advantage over enemies. Un continued. What took us centuries of peaceful research, they achieved in decades under the pressure of conflict. The council sat in stunned silence. Counselor Wu, known for his compassionate views, leaned forward. "Are you saying they're naturally violent?" he asked, his voice troubled. "No," Yun replied firmly. I'm saying they've been forced to innovate through conflict in ways we never had to. Their planet had harsh conditions, limited resources, and isolated continents that developed competing civilizations. She showed more images, human medical facilities, art galleries, children playing. They desire peace as much as any species, but they've had to fight for everything they have. What we consider advanced military technology, they consider basic fundamentals. Admiral Ryu rose from his seat, his massive frame tense with anger. So we should surrender to these primitives because they're good at fighting. The hegemony has never bowed to any species. His words stirred many council members. Shouts of agreement echoed through the chamber. Elder Su raised his hand for silence. We must vote. Do we seek peace, or do we escalate? Despite Yun's analysis, fear and pride won the day. The majority of the council voted for escalation. The hegemony would deploy its ultimate weapon, the Dreadnought Asterisk, Immutable Law Asterisk, a vessel that had never been defeated in battle. In a secure facility orbiting Earth, Commander Sung stood before a panel of human leaders. The battle footage from Proxima Centauri played behind her as she gave her report. Their technology is advanced, but their tactics are predictable, she explained. They rely on overwhelming force rather than adaptability. Defense Minister Park nodded. What do you recommend, Commander? We need a unified command structure. Our ships fought well individually, but with proper coordination, we can be more effective. The decision was made quickly. Humanity unveiled 2 more battleships of the Vengeance class, previously kept in secret orbital shipyards. Commander Sung received her promotion to Admiral in a brief ceremony, taking command of Earth's unified defense forces. They'll come for Earth next, she told her captains. We'll be ready. As the massive hegemony fleet approached the Sol system 3 weeks later, their sensors detected a small vessel approaching from Neptune's orbit. It transmitted on diplomatic frequencies, requesting safe passage. Grand Admiral Han, commanding the Asterisk Immutable Law Asterisk from its vast bridge, viewed the request with suspicion. Scan the vessel, he ordered. It could be a trap. Single life form aboard, reported his tactical officer. It matches Diplomat Bora's biosignature. Bora. Han's scales shifted in surprise. The peace advocate from the council debates. What is she doing here? Requesting direct communication with you, Admiral. Han nodded reluctantly. Allow it. Bora's face appeared on screen. She looked tired, her scales dulled from stress. Admiral Han, I've come without council approval. This escalation is a mistake. The council voted, Han replied stiffly. The hegemony will not be challenged. You don't understand, Bora insisted. I've studied these humans more carefully than anyone. This isn't like our other encounters with developing species. Han's patience thinned. What would you have me do? Turn this fleet around? Yes, Bora said simply. Or at least open real negotiations. I've been granted passage to Earth. Let me try to broker peace. After consideration, Han allowed her to proceed. Her small ship continued toward Earth, eventually docking at the International Space Station, where human representatives waited. In a plain meeting room aboard the station, Bora faced the human delegation, led by Admiral Sung herself. Your people don't understand what they're walking into, she told them, her voice heavy with concern. The hegemony has never faced a species like yours. Admiral Sung's expression remained calm. Then perhaps it's time they did. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter became the battlefield. Countless rocks, some tiny as pebbles, others massive as mountains, filled the space. Admiral Sung positioned her forces here with purpose. Each human ship hid behind larger asteroids, using the natural cover. All ships confirmed positions. Admiral Sung ordered from the command deck of the HSS Vengeance. Her voice remained steady despite the odds they faced. All ships in position, Admiral, reported Captain Kim. The hegemony fleet has entered the outer belt. Sung nodded. On her main screen, she watched the massive alien armada approach. At its center moved the immutable law a dreadnought 3 times larger than the Vengeance. Its hull gleamed with a strange metallic sheen that seemed to shift colors as it moved. Aboard that mighty vessel, Grand Admiral Han surveyed his tactical display with confidence. 30 warships surrounded his flagship. The humans had only 15 visible vessels. "They think they can use these rocks as cover," Han said with a dismissive gesture. "A primitive tactic." His second-in-command, Commander Du, looked less certain. "The reports from Proxima Centauri suggest caution, Admiral." Han's scales darkened slightly. "This is the immutable law It has never known defeat." He turned to his weapons officer. "Engage the quantum displacement field, a technology we've never needed to use before." Throughout the hegemony fleet, advanced generators activated. Space itself seemed to warp around their vessels. The fabric of reality bent, distorting sensor readings and allowing the ships to appear in unexpected locations, here one moment, there the next. On the Vengeance, Admiral Sun watched as the enemy ships began to flicker in and out of normal space, becoming harder to track. "They've brought their best technology," Admiral Sung noted calmly to her bridge crew. "Good. Activate adaptive response protocols." Throughout the human fleet, a system unique to Earth vessels came online. Unlike the rigid, programmed responses of hegemony ships, human vessels operated with artificial intelligence that could analyze, learn, and adapt in real time. What followed astounded even the most battle-hardened hegemony officers. Human ships didn't fight according to any pattern they recognized. When the hegemony quantum field made their ships hard to target, human vessels fired spread patterns that caught them regardless of position. When hegemony ships formed attack formations, humans countered not with defensive postures, but with seemingly reckless charges that split the alien lines. "How are they tracking us through the quantum field?" Han demanded as another of his light cruisers reported heavy damage. "Unknown, Admiral," his science officer replied. "Their systems shouldn't be capable of it." What the hegemony didn't know was that humans had developed quantum entanglement sensors, technology that tracked ships by the very distortions they created in spacetime. The battle grew desperate. The immutable law pushed forward, targeting the Vengeance directly. Han ordered the deployment of the dreadnought's main weapon, a particle beam that could cut through any known defense. The beam lanced across space, a brilliant blue-white light that connected the 2 flagships. The Vengeance took a direct hit. Its port side blackened and crumpled inward. Atmosphere vented into space from multiple breaches. "Vengeance is severely damaged," reported Tactical Officer Hyun, his voice tight. "Decks 5 through 9 exposed to vacuum. 200 crew members unaccounted for." Grand Admiral Han allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Now they'll see the folly of challenging the hegemony. But the Vengeance didn't retreat. Despite catastrophic damage, it maintained position, still firing, still coordinating the human fleet. "Why don't they withdraw?" Han demanded. "That ship should be abandoning battle." On the Vengeance's bridge, emergency force fields contained the worst breaches. Medical teams worked frantically to save the injured. Admiral Sung, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead, remained standing. "Maintain fire on target Alpha," she ordered. "All ships execute maneuver Thermopyla." Across the human fleet, captains acknowledged the order. It was a maneuver they had practiced, but hoped never to use, one that required sacrifice. 3 human destroyers suddenly broke formation, while the damaged Vengeance continued to draw the immutable law's fire. These smaller ships executed a complex series of jumps through the asteroid field. They emerged directly in the dreadnought's blind spot, a weakness in its sensor array that human intelligence had identified. All 3 ships fired their main weapons simultaneously, targeting the same point on the dreadnought's hull. The concentrated energy penetrated the hegemony shields, overloading the power grid beneath. 2 hours later, the pride of the hegemony fleet drifted powerless, its systems overloaded. 7 human ships had been destroyed in the battle, with 5 more severely damaged. But the asterisk immutable law asterisk, the undefeated champion of the hegemony, had fallen. 3 months later, on a space station orbiting Earth, diplomat Bora watched as representatives from both species signed the Treaty of Sol. The document recognized humanity as a full and equal partner in galactic affairs. "We misjudged you," she told Admiral Sung, who now wore the formal white uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. "We thought we knew war." Sung's expression remained solemn. "No one truly knows war, diplomat Bora. We've just had more practice surviving it." In the decades that followed, hegemony military academies began teaching human battle tactics. Human diplomatic missions worked to build understanding between species. The encounter changed both civilizations, the aliens learning to innovate through adversity, and humans finding, at last, a peace worthy of their sacrifice. The end.